This is a presentation on training and development by Ketona Ogletree. Now, the purpose of this presentation is to go over a particular topic from the human resource management class so that we can discuss the various different components and elements for this particular topic that I have chose. So I'm going to go ahead and begin now. Okay, well, we're going to first start with training, and so I'm going to give you a brief overview of training. Companies usually do training programs for various different reasons. They would possibly use it for training potential new hires, as well as they would train the internal employees so that they can get more in-depth knowledge of the different products and services to offer, to fine-tune their already skills so they can be more efficient, and also to just get better at the job so that you can be at your best. So most people within a company would have training courses that they're ongoing. Sometimes they're yearly, sometimes they're monthly, sometimes they're even weekly, depending on the job that you have. Now, normally with US Cellular in the sales role, you have constant ongoing training. You have learning module seminars and courses that you have to take ongoing to sharpen your skills. Also, they send a lot of emails that has updates and informations about new products, services, plans, new cell phones. We also have trainings where the manufacturers of the cell phones, for example, Samsung and LG, they would come in and they would give us training on the new phones that they're coming out with, and they even let us see the phones, play with the phones, and they run contests so we can actually get a hold of our own phones so that we can be more efficient in going over how the bells and whistles and products and services work. The only manufacturer in the 6 months that I worked in the store that I never came in to tell us about the new phones are Apple. Apple's very funny, in my opinion, pertaining to their phones, and they don't even give us their phones on an employee phone program. So therefore, the only way you would know how to use an Apple product is if you purchase the Apple product, whether it be on your employee phone program or if you have your own consumer account. So a lot of people definitely, don't know much about an Apple phone or product unless they actually purchase them. So that's the brief overview of what the training would be. Now, I did put in some pros and cons about training. There's good things about training courses, and then I feel, are bad things about training courses. Now, some of the pros that I would say is that it's good to become a subject matter expert, which shortly would be like a SME. That's what it pronounces. And so it sounds really funny, like a Smurf, but it's me. But it's good to be a subject matter expert, because a subject matter expert will know the most in-depth information pertaining to the product, service, program, department, so on and so forth. I would consider myself to be a SME when it comes to customer service, and I know other departments as well, but my most proficient department, I would say, would be financial services and customer service. Financial services is when you receive inbound calls where you send up payment arrangements and you're making payments to recoup for the company lost revenue for customers who have delinquent accounts. Um, so I think that that's a good thing to learn, and it's good to learn different departments pertaining to that. Now, some of the cons is that when I went through my customer service training, I believe that they gave us too much information. And why I say that is because they overwhelmed even me, who's had several years, over 10 plus years in customer service, but I felt it was too much information at a too slow of a pace, and therefore everybody was on different levels, and some people had to sit there and wait for the slower people to comprehend. So I felt that some of the trainers were also not the best trainers in the world to train certain areas of the training program. We had different trainers come in for different things. Some were good and some were bad. So if you get a bad trainer, that makes the training environment and the learning experience to not be so great. So that's a big plus that must be, which is a con if you actually have to deal with a bad trainer throughout your entire training. Um, I just feel like, our training was a little overwhelming and we had a wealth of information that you had to absorb. And as quickly as I absorb and retain things, I still found it at times to be very challenging to learn so much stuff. The customer service part down, I had already had that down to a science. So there's no issue between the customer service portion. The portion that I found to be challenging is when we went into the systems, and it was like a lot of book work and then the systems, and then we didn't get to really do a lot of hands-on system because they can only do so much in a training environment. So those are some of the drawbacks on training programs that a company may have, in particularly for US Cellular. Now, we do have different types of training for the various different departments. As you can see, we have several different departments, and these are not all of the departments. These are just some of the departments that we have, and these are like the most important ones that are always on the forefront of the information. So, and when you call in, you're going to pretty much get one of these departments, except maybe the resolutions department. The resolutions department is an internal department only, and there's no actual direct phone number, or we don't directly transfer. Everything that that department does is via emails and cases. So that's the only way we can get a hold of that department. So if a customer wants to speak to resolutions, unfortunately we have to put a case in and submit a request for a callback, and then resolutions will call them back. All the other departments, including the supervisors, will, you can learn to become a supervisor going through the pipeline program, is what they call it for our particular company, where you transition from a customer service rep or whatever department you're in, and then you will start working your way towards learning the ropes and go through the leadership program courses that they have, and then they will decide whether or not they want to advance you into the next step of the program. So the next part we're going to go into is development, which is part two of my assignment. So with the development, once again, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview. Development and training pretty much go synonymous with each other, because if you're training someone, you're also developing them to be the best that they can be. So I believe you can't have one with the other. With my company, they actually do development programs where they give you like an action plan. You set up goals at the beginning of the year, and then you decide what goals and everything like that that you want to obtain, and then whether it's going to a different department, whether it's just learning department, just shadowing. There's various different components to the development program action plans that you set up, and so you give yourself dates to achieve these action goals. And once you achieve these action goals, then you go in and you change the date and put it complete, and then you move on to the next action goal and plan. Since I switched from one role to the other, I pretty much don't really have an action plan in place right now, but I am going to be putting that together with my current coach, which is a supervisor, but they call them coaches, because in US Cellular we don't supervisors don't supervise us. They coach us to behaviors and different ways of learning, and that we coach to how things are going and why did you do this, then numbers and stats and performances, because people don't want to be, they don't want you to focus on that. Um, so that's pretty much what they do in a development program. USA does believe strongly on their employees, and they will train you until there's nothing left to train before they will let you go because you're just not getting it. So that's something I've found is very key and instrumental to working within US Cellular's development and training program. There's different reasons why somebody want to be developed. They want to transfer, or they plans to try out different departments and so on and so forth. And what they want to be a part of the culture clubs that we do have that talks about the different ethnicities that we have and how it is the best way to assimilate inside those ethnicities, so that we can learn to about those ethnicities without feeling, too helpless or what have you. So that's a good way of learning about different cultures and what have you. Now, I did put in a video. It's a little 1.5 minute video. I thought it was kind of funny, so I thought I put that in there for visual purposes. Hopefully, it will actually play. But we already know how well YouTube works, so I'm definitely going to try to get this to play, and we're going to go ahead and throw us on the. I thought that video was hilarious. Um, Only someone piped up on a whole bunch of sugar and really, really bored and have nothing but time on their hand will be that excited about going to work. So, but I thought that was hilarious of a video to say that, if you can get that much sugar in your system or coffee, maybe you can go ahead and be like Mike. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen with me. But I just thought that was kind of really funny. So in conclusion, I would summarize the material that we went over was for the training and development. I feel like it's instrumental to any company to have an excellent training and development program where they actually are getting feedback from the representatives so that would make it better and that it would work out the kinks that may have problems because every training program is not perfect and there's no direct science to it, different strokes for different folks. So I definitely would say, hey, this is the training development, the one of the strongest things next to the selection process of candidates. So I thank you for your time, and if y'all have any questions, please see me in the forum. Have a great day.